Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mercedes and this is the Frugal Life of Mercedes. So, a few months back, actually I want to say it was like over the summer, so quite a while ago, but I've been wanting to share this story and I haven't. So, Brandon and I were shopping at a local grocery store and we were in the chips snack aisle. And you guys know, when you've seen my grocery hauls, I like to get those giant boxes of individual chips. And I usually get those at like Costco or Sam's Club, but occasionally I'll get them at like Walmart or another big box store. And so we were looking at them, but the store we were at didn't have a very wide selection, and we were kind of deciding what we wanted to get. We wanted to get something both of us liked, and we were like, oh man, look at these prices. And a lady was walking by and she was like, what did she say? She's like, can you believe these prices? She's like, how are we supposed to eat with these prices? And I was like, yeah, it's getting ridiculous. Now, I am not making fun of that lady or anybody else. We all are feeling the pinch. But I want to remind you guys, chips are not a necessity. Soda, not a necessity. I think in times of struggle, we sometimes forget what is truly a necessity and what is a want. Now, it is not for me to say what is a necessity to anybody else, because I was putting those chips in my cart. I was overpaying for chips too. And I know that some people are just like, we'll just buy a giant family size bag of whatever for $5 or $6. And I do agree with you. However, I've shared before, it is just the two of us. So one of those giant family size bags, they would go stale before the two of us would eat them. So even though the bag is $6 for a giant family size bag of whatever, and my individually wrapped bags that is a 35-40 count is anywhere from $12 to $15, that's more money out of pocket, but that makes more sense for us. They have a shelf life of months and months, and it just kind of works for us better. And I'm sure some of you are like, well, I could eat a family-sized bag of chips before they'd go stale. And so could Brandon and I, but we really try not to just eat a giant bag of chips in one setting. But the point is, though, is that, yes, I'm getting things that are not necessities. You guys see, Brandon and I get soda, we get candy, we get frozen meals, we get convenience stuff, but it's in our budget. We are not going over budget to get these things. Now, if we went to the store tomorrow with our budget, with our household grocery budget, and those things were no longer able to be worked into our budget, we wouldn't get them. We would be like, okay, well, you know what? That's out of the picture for us, this shopping trip. And I get it. We all want convenience items. We all want little treats and comfort items. And I don't think that you should completely stop doing that. Even if your budget is super, super tight, think about the food items specifically that really bring your family comfort, and focus on those if your budget is really tight. Even when my budget was tiny, 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 I still made room in my budget for Pepsi. Pepsi is my favorite thing ever, ever, ever. And I have always made room in my budget for it. Is Pepsi good for you? Is it healthy? Is it empty calories? Absolutely. But I love it. And I have always made room in my budget for Pepsi. And maybe there's something that's equally as important to you. Now, again, Pepsi is not a necessity, but it brings me joy. It brings me joy, especially if you're really struggling financially. Maybe you had to get rid of Netflix. Maybe you weren't able to go on that vacation. Maybe you aren't able to take the kids to, McDonald's as often as you would like, or you had to take your child out of their favorite extracurricular activity because it was just getting too expensive. But imagine how awesome that would be if they got to come home and something that really brings them comfort and something they really enjoy is in the house. Now, granted, it just depends on your budget and your situation, but I want to remind you guys that sometimes we do have to sacrifice things, and maybe you do have the money in your budget for all the things. Because we're talking about food specifically, maybe you have room in the budget for eating out a ton and getting all the convenience items and everybody's favorite treat. But let's say you're swimming in debt. Then do you really have the money in the budget for all the things? I would say no. So it's really important to focus on the things that you can change and that are in your ability to change. And I've talked about groceries a million times, and I will continue to do that. The easiest way to make room in your budget is to modify what you're buying at the store. Now, we cannot control what the price of eggs are. We cannot control what the price of my Pepsi is, or the chips, or the meat. But you might have to modify it. If you guys are eating beef 7 days a week, and your grocery bill just keeps going up and up and up and up, well, you might have to start eating beef maybe 3 times a week and having meatless Mondays and, incorporating more frugal meals in there, and it's only for a time being. It's a means to an end. Do you know what I mean? It'll get you more money in the savings account. It'll help you pay off debt that you have. So really try to focus on what you can control, and maybe you do need to have like a come to Jesus meeting with yourself or whoever you buy groceries with, a significant other, a roommate, whomever, and really say like, okay, well, we can't get everything in the snack aisle right now, and focus on things that are really your favorites. Okay, so I hope that you guys got something out of this video. Please consider subscribing to my channel. If you did not know, I have an Instagram, The Frugal Life of the Mercedes. Until next time, guys, bye.